You spoke briefly of how this is being watched by the US. So let's quickly put out details of that. As India and European Union have finalized the free trade deal, and remember, details of which will start trickling in the next few hours. The US has taken a jibe at the European Union, with Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent saying that Europeans are financing the war against themselves. It should be mentioned here that India and EU are yet to sign the deal, though they have declared it has been finalized. In an interview, he said US has made much bigger sacrifices than the Europeans have, highlighting that it even imposed an additional 25% tariff on India for procuring Russian crude. The Trump administration has imposed tariffs of up to 50% on Indian goods, including a 25% levy tied directly to India's purchase of Russian oil. However, he recently also signaled that further tariff relief could be possible. Let's first up listen in.
That he has worked to negotiate a settlement on Russia, Ukraine. The U.S. has made much bigger sacrifices than the Europeans have. We have put 25% tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. Guess what happened last week? The Europeans signed a trade deal with India. And just to be clear again, the Russian oil goes into India, the refined products come out, and the Europeans buy the refined products. They are financing the war against themselves. So President Trump's leadership, we will eventually end this Ukraine-Russia war.
Okay, I do want to bring in Akanksha and Siddhant Mishra into the conversation once again. Good morning, Siddhant. Siddhant, how do you look at this? You know, this reaction by the US Secretary of Treasury makes one thing very clear, that the FT is as much about geopolitics as it is about economics, isn't it?
Well, that's right. In fact, look, this is something which India has been reminding the Western world from the very beginning, that it is not India which is only buying Russian energy, but it is countries in Europe and, in fact, various other countries also across the globe buying Russian energy. So why India is being selectively targeted? And in fact, not just when United States imposed 25% additional tariff on India, India pointed this out, but when the secondary sanctions were also imposed on Russian subsidiary in India, at that point in time also, India reminded that they should not be selectively targeting of India. In fact, ahead of the mother of all deals, this statement is coming from Scott Bessent. Perhaps shows that Americans are not very happy with this deal being signed between Europe and India. There are reasons to it, because it was expected that India-US trade deal will get finalized by the fall last year, but that did not happen. And now the European Union is announcing a deal with India. In fact, India has already done a deal with Australia, UAE, New Zealand, Oman, United Kingdom, more than 8 countries. So one thing is very clear, that India believes in tariff-free trade. India believes in giving market access, but country needs to understand, the other country needs to, or group of nation needs to understand India's sensitivities, India's concern. All these countries have kept agri and dairy products off the table. Perhaps this is the reason that the deal could get signed or get announced. But with United States, they are still pushing for more market access in agriculture and dairy. And perhaps that is the sticking point as far as India-US trade deal is concerned. So definitely, Scott Bessent will not be liking India signing deals with the other countries or the group of nations, and not with the United States. But also, United States need to understand that unless they will understand India's sensitivities, India's concern, perhaps the deal will not move forward.
Well, it's no new stance or no new commentary on United States part, Siddhant, but thank you for joining us.